Hey guys, and welcome to this new video on the Mumbo channel. Today we are going to be doing an unboxing and first impressions of the Sigma 18-35mm f1.8 camera lens for crop sensor cameras. Now what I mean by this is that this lens is built for cameras using a crop sensor. Things like the Canon 60D, the 600D, and the 7D, I do believe. To put it simply, if you were to chuck this on a Canon 5D Mark III, which uses a full sensor, you are going to have some serious problems, as all of your photos and videos are going to have quite a large amount of vignetting, and it's not going to look particularly good. As far as the packaging is concerned for this lens, it is a bit no-nonsense. We just have the name of the lens and a few tiny little details about it, none of which are particularly interesting, so let's open up the flap and then pry open the two side flaps and take a look inside. To get things started, we have got the warranty information, which I'll blur out some of that just because I don't know what you guys can do with that. You might be able to claim my warranty and that won't be particularly good. Behind that, we have got a small instruction manual, which a lot of it seems to be in a language that I don't understand. And then after that, we have another information massive great thing that once again seems to be in a different language to the one that I speak, and thus I'm not going to be doing much reading of. Now this is where things begin to get interesting. On the inside of the box you can see that little bag sitting there snugly. That is the lens bag that this lens comes in, and I'm really glad that they included that, because when you pay this much for what is essentially a piece of glass, you want to try and make sure that that piece of glass stays safe. And I have every confidence that it will do that. Having felt the material, it feels like it's going to do a decent job at protecting the lens on the inside. But anyway, if we undo those two zips and then pull the lens out of the bag, immediately I'm hit by how cold this thing is. It's clearly made of metal. It has a metal construction, which is definitely a very, very good thing, because metal is robust. It doesn't break particularly easy, and on top of all of this, it feels high quality. As I mentioned earlier, this is an expensive piece of kit, and if you pulled it out the bag and it felt like a really light, flimsy piece of junk, then it wouldn't be particularly good. But this feels sturdy, and it feels like it's going to last a very long time, which is all positives from me. Speaking of the build quality, the zoom and focus rings are absolutely lovely to use, very nice and smooth. You can spin those right the way around, and they all feel lovely. Much nicer than the current lens that I'm using to shoot this video, because whenever you try and zoom in on that, it feels awful and plasticky and makes a horrendous noise. You get none of that on the Sigma 18-35mm. Now onto the size of this thing. As you can see in the video, this is quite a big lens. Now I'd looked at images of this on the internet, and I was actually expecting it to be considerably smaller than it is. I'm 6'5", I'm a big guy, my hands are pretty big, but as you can see on the video, this lens looks fairly large. So that's something that you might want to watch out for. If you don't like using big lenses, then maybe this one won't be for you. Also, in terms of the weight, now this is never going to be a problem for me, but this lens feels a lot heavier than the one that I'm currently using to shoot this video with, and I can tell that when I put this on my camera is going to feel a little bit front heavy. Now I will get used to that, and generally speaking I do use tripods and mounts and things, so it probably won't be a problem for me. But if you are going to be using your camera for long periods of time without it being mounted or without it being on tripods, then it might be something to watch out for, because it could get fairly tiring lifting something that heavy up to your face every 5 seconds. You might get a little bit knackered. But anyway, that is pretty much my first responses without it being on the camera. Now it is time to chuck it onto my Canon 600D and let's give it a bash. I went out there for around about 10 minutes shooting both photography and also a little bit of video footage as well, and I can report back that first off, the autofocus system is very good indeed. Now I did a little bit of research before I bought this lens about Sigma as a company, and a lot of people reported that Sigma lenses in the past have had some serious problems with autofocus, but that should be fixed with the new range of lenses, and I can confirm that it seemed very good from my first impressions. Like I say, I was only using it for about 10 minutes, but I didn't have any misfires or misfocuses. Whatever I was pointing the camera at and whatever I wanted to focus on, within around about a second was in lovely sharp detail, and then of course I got that nice shallow depth of field that we're trying to achieve with the f1.8 lens. So what I can take from that is that the autofocus is fast, it is also very quiet, and it also seems to be pretty accurate, which is the big triple, and that's what I like to hear. I had the camera in fully automatic mode for pretty much the entire time, and one thing that really impressed me was how easy it was to get the shots that I wanted with very little effort on my part. I did do a little bit of manual focusing here and there, but honestly the autofocus was so much faster than me and so much more accurate than me that I think I'm going to be using that for the foreseeable future. My only problem with the lens so far is the fact that it doesn't have image stabilisation, which means some of the video footage came out a little bit more shaky than usual, and also some of the photos were a little bit more blurred, but as I mentioned earlier, generally speaking I use mounts or tripods, so that shouldn't be a problem. So there we have it guys, those are my very first impressions of the Sigma 18-35mm f1.8 lens. Of course this is by no means detailed, and if you do want a little bit more detail, then I'll put links to the original reviews that I watched down in the description so that you can check those out. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching guys, this has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.